So what if you can't touch the sky? It doesn't mean you shouldn't try. Do you wanna fly?
Ladies and gents, returning to the Jibber Jabber podcast to talk about his journey as Rab Campbell, the eccentric, intelligent stoner, Stephen McCole.
Hello. It's good to be back on the podcast, boys. How are you?
We're doing well. Do you really mean that? Is that sincere?
I do mean it, and it is sincere because I've been listening to the other High Times podcasts, and I was quite surprised at how good they were.
Oh, what? You're surprised?
I jest. No, it was lovely. You know, I haven't seen a lot of those guys for a long time, and it was absolutely glorious to hear them in full flow, chatting away to you, you know, and recounting their time on what for me will always be one of my favourite jobs, you know. So it was brilliant. It was great stuff. So far, so good. I can only fuck it up from here on in.
No. We actually, that's one thing Jordan and I had said to each other, that it was actually nice to kind of be part of these guys telling stories and coming up with these memories that they hadn't actually thought about in a lot of the years. So to kind of see that glow return in some of these kind of the way that they were telling the stories, and it seems like, do you know what it is? It's like an old rock band that got back, like a reminiscent about their greatest tour. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Spinal Tap.
a wee bit.
It's like,
and have you noticed as well? Everybody paints you as the MVP of High Times. Have you noticed that?
Oh, I wish I could think up something funny with the initials. That would be good. We'll edit that in later. Listen, I was on cloud nine from the minute I got the part of Rab Campbell. It was a dream come true when I read Blackout, the short story, and it was Paul was actually going for the audition for it. I wasn't initially going up for it. But I read the script and I was like, I have to get my agent onto this and get me in the room. And I just knew it was me written all over. It was written for me. That's how it felt. You know, I knew Rab Campbell's growing up. I was a bit of a Rab Campbell myself growing up. And you know, you look at a character and you think, that's very possibly where I would have ended up if I hadn't started acting as a kid. You know what I mean? And the dialogue, everything, the situation, it was John Rooney's writing. That was the finest bit of comedy writing that up until that point in my career I had ever read. I didn't even know that I was ever going to get a piece of writing that good, that tight, that funny, every single word, everything, not a wasted moment. So I knew that I had to go for it, and I knew that I was going to do everything I could to get that part.
I mean, the writing, like obviously mentioned, is the way the conversations flow just seems so natural. You know what I mean? There's not one line that feels like it was forced in, and the jokes and the funny lines, it happens so naturally, like it would in real life. You know what I mean? It's not like a laugh-a-minute sitcom where everything's shoehorned in. One of the worst programs for that, for me personally, is The Big Bang Theory. I can't watch it because every second line is a joke, and it starts to do my head in after a while. So, the writing's just excellent. We might have mentioned that a couple of times.
Exactly.
Well, it bears. You know, there is no High Times without Blackout. There is no Blackout without John Rooney. You know, so it's his show. It's John Rooney's High Times. You know, and he deserves all the credit. You know, but as good as it was for all of us, you know, we definitely owe John a debt of gratitude for writing those characters for us to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and it's been said already on the show that John, it wasn't underappreciated, but he was underused, and the stuff that he could have done from that time to now, had that not kind of left a bitter taste in his mouth. Think of the state of Scottish comedy and where it could be if John Rooney was in the mix with like Burniston, Limmy's show, stuff like that. Can you imagine if he'd done more, or if even like Rab and Jake had their own spin-off I've said that. John loved that as well. And so, can you imagine that? Rab and Jake head to the Bahamas.
Oh, I'm in. If they're going to the Bahamas, as long as it's getting shot on, on location, I'm there.
Aye.
I mean, I've over the years, I hadn't thought about High Times for years until I spoke to you guys, and it's not that I hadn't thought about it, but you're busy living your life and doing other jobs, and it's very transitory being an actor, So they say you're only as good as your last job, and so you're just constantly trying to get work. That's the main job of an actor, is trying to get the next job. You spend a lot of time doing that, so you can't sit in the past or worry about what might have been. This is the industry that crushes dreams on a daily basis. And John is in great company for underused talent. It's just the way that it works. I think it's criminal that John Rooney isn't a household name for comedy in Scotland. But as I say, he's in good company. There's a lot of people that would be with the witness folks in that court. You know what I mean?
Aye. I mean, the role of Rab Campbell, obviously you had it in Blackout. Was that then a dead cert for that role in High Times? That was.
Oh, people would have been getting murdered left, right, and centre if I wasn't playing that when it went to a series. I would be doing this interview with you for Berlini, if some other guy was playing Rab Campbell when High Times went to a series. No, there was never any doubt, and certainly in my mind.
Did you know that Gavin Mitchell was supposed to play Tex? He was actually up for Tex.
I didn't know until I heard that on there. I mean, I'm sure he was up for it. I don't know if he was supposed to do it, if he was offered it, or being up for it is very different. He was up for it. Supposed to have done it. It's a very different language to was up for it. And that way, I was supposed to be a lot of fucking people in very big jobs. You know what I mean? I was supposed to be...
Still got you to be getting knocked back for Terminator, didn't you?
Still, you know what? I've been up for some big fucking movies in my life, and I would never say I was supposed to be. So that's a different language. He was up for it. A lot of people would have been up for that role, but you watch that, and John Comerford, apart from being one of the funniest human beings on the planet, to just sit and hang out with really smart, really erudite, just he'll talk to anybody about anything. As an actor, I think he is top class, and even better than he is as a hairdresser. I think that nobody could have played that role other than him. When you watch how he does it, it's effortless. It's just, and it's not unbelievable. It's not, and this is why I think that Blackout and High Times, they maybe flew under the radar a little bit, and people didn't quite know what to do with time slots. And I've heard you talk a lot about that on here. It's because there's never really been a comedy drama like that.
Yeah, that's right.
It didn't fit into the standard Rab C. Nisbet slot, or they were like, who the fuck's going to watch this? They didn't quite know what to do with it, and I think that's you can look back on it and you can be bitter about it, or you can look back on it and go, that's a fucking badge of honour, because it stands up. The show's good, the writing's amazing, the performances are great.
Yeah.
So it was just a little bit ahead of its time, I think, and it was. Yeah.
When you consider the fact, when you think about it, like we properly saw it after sitting down with you the first time, right? So we're in 2019 when we first watched it, right? And we're like, fucking hell, why is this hidden? Do you know what I mean? So for you to say that it stands up, I mean, that's a testament to it. Do you know what I mean? Because we're watching something that's 15-year-old, and we're like,
you know what? I would rather be at a cult classic than a 6-month hit. Where people kind of forget about it, move on to the next one. You know what I mean? Sure. And I think that things like that, and a couple of other things I've been involved in over the years, those are the things that I look back on with the fondest memories.
For sure.
You know, those kind of things that people still talk about.
We still truly believe there's space in the future for High Times. I think it's just a case of the stars aligning. So you and Alan McCafferty, I mean, you guys, and this has been said by everybody on the podcast and off the podcast. Could we chat a little bit off the show? That you guys were the show. The show was you guys, and then the other characters.
Well, that's very kind of other people to say that. It is not true, though.
Do you think
it's
so?
not strictly true. What I think is if you look at the characters of High Times, some characters never meet.
Yeah.
But Rab and Jake are at the centre of everything because they're always there. They don't work. They don't do anything else. They're just always there. They're either a talking point. People are talking about the wasters that live up the stairs, or they're involved in other people's lives.
Yeah.
You know, and they know everything. They're a couple of old women. They're a couple of old women that know everybody's business. You know, all they do is sit, get stoned, and talk about everybody else. So that's what puts them in the centre. They're the kind of, you know, they're where the show pivots.
Yeah.
But I would argue that everything that goes on around about it is the real show.
Yeah.
But you need a catalyst in the middle of it for everything to kind of springboard off of.
Yeah.
And that's what I think when you watch it, and that's how you feel about it, or how people feel about it. That's because they're the kind of pivot that everything comes off of.
No.
But it is absolutely 100% an Altman-esque, you know, ensemble piece.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Any ensemble, if you've got a couple of characters like Rab and Jake, they're very memorable. They get to do the stupidest stuff, like wipe their arse with soaps and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
They're in socks.
They're in socks. But, you know, and wash the dishes in the bath and stuff like that. So you're always going to remember that stuff. But the real kind of heart of the piece is the real stuff that people are going through, you know, the relationships breaking up, menopause, people coming out of the jail. There's so much good stuff going on there. Somebody with his dreams of becoming a rock star, and you know, love and unrequited love, and it's got so much going for it. You know, it's definitely more than the sum of Rab and Jake's parts.
I think they are definitely they're a standout kind of duo. Did you know Alan McCafferty beforehand, or did you kind of bond?
I did know Alan beforehand. We did Ian Rankin's Crow Road together, and that was one of the first jobs I ever did. And
that was Peter Capaldi, wasn't it?
It was Peter Capaldi, yes. And so there was a crew of young dudes that hung about with each other, with Joe McFadden's character and stuff. And he was one of them, and I was one of them. And I will never forget the energy and sheer just fun that Alan brought to everything, even just the journey home and the bus. You know, he exuded confidence. He exuded this amazing personality, and you know, had everybody in stitches. You know, it commanded the attention of a room without being a show off.
Yeah,
you know, you just wanted to listen to him. He would tell jokes that would last for, you know, half an hour, and you would just be like, "Well, I don't even care where this is going." You would just listen to him. You know, an absolute tornado of energy.
Everybody's always kind of mentioned just how eccentric Alan is as an actor, and even John Comerford said that he reminds him of like a young James Dean.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I'd never really seen that myself. I saw Peter Sellers.
That's what John Rooney said as well.
Yeah, I saw all these things that he was capable of and is capable of. But when we got Blackout, and because we would just sit and be looking at each other going, "This is amazing." You know, and getting to play off of one another the way that we did wasn't something we sat and went, "Well, if you do this and I do that, how are we going to..." It was just the script, just us playing the parts that John Rooney had written, and it just worked.
Yeah.
you know, and Alan is one of these actors that will go off piste and he'll do stuff and he'll look at you in a such really weird way, and it's just so easy to kind of react to that. You know what I mean? It's effortless to react to Alan. To this day, hands down, one of the best actors I've ever worked with.
That's amazing. You see,
It really is.
John, we always hear that a writer will always write a character based on themselves. And on John Rooney's episode, Alan McCafferty's Jake was actually John Rooney.
I always thought it was
Right?
Rab.
And see, washing in the
Always
bath.
thought it was Rab.
I said the same thing to him. I goes,
Imagine who the guy that Rab's supposed to be. I wouldn't want to walk into him on a dark night if John Rooney's supposed to be Jake.
he was Jake, and he said that, see the bath scene, washing the stuff in the bath, he's done that. He was there. From grating the cheese, getting the mold off the cheese, stuff like that.
We've all done that. We've all done that. When needs must. Listen. Don't give me your middle class. I've never cut the mold off a cheese, right? If you've not grown up in a council estate and you've not had to cut the mold off your cheese for your breakfast in the morning, good for you.
No, you know what it is? It's
Good
just
for
the cheese that he buys is so cheap it doesn't fucking go moldy.
Or the cheese he buys is so expensive it's already got mold on it.
Cheese is just a mold anyway, isn't it?
All
Right?
right. That's what my wife says when she's cutting the mold off it.
Was that cheese prop cheese or what? Or did it actually have mold on it?
No, it was moldy cheese.
I thought it was prop cheese.
Listen, if you can invent prop moldy cheese, you're on a winner. Get that marketed to Hollywood, man, because they're using real moldy cheese out there. The fucking idiots that they are.
I'm getting a t-shirt made with prop cheese on it.
Prop cheese.
That's brilliant.
Oh man, don't eat that. It's prop cheese. Fuck's sake. You end up getting sued.
Prop cheese. I suppose it makes more sense just to get a bit of mouldy cheese, right?
It does, aye.
But how are we going to achieve that mold? Leave it in the fridge for 2 days before you shoot the scene. It's pretty self-explanatory, isn't it?
Why not just spend $3,000 on some prop cheese? Sorry. We're
Fucking
from that
prop
world.
cheese.
We're not from that world. You'd be surprised at the things that people do to make props and whatnot. But
I'd be surprised if somebody said to me, "See that cheese you're cutting? That's prop cheese. Don't eat it, and whatever you do, don't put it on the toast under the grill." That would surprise me.
Oh, man.
Face hurts.
Oh,
Prop cheese.
I'm going to need a minute here. Like.
Prop cheese.
And I can't believe it was prop cheese that brought us all down and made this podcast crumble.
Cheese, man.
Fucking hell. Sorry, the cheese was not prop.
No, it wasn't. It was real cheese.
You can tell that this wasn't a pre-prepared question that he's got written down. This has just came to him.
There's no follow-up, is there? There's no. So let's move
speaking
on.
of
You know what I mean?
cheese.
That's it, you know. You're going to need a fucking cracking segue to get out of this one.
Let's see. I was going to try and incorporate something today with brie, but I'm not quick
Why?
enough because
Right.
it's a type
Jesus.
of cheese. Jesus!
So, right, do you want to just mute him and Sean?
Oh, man. Prop cheese.
I'm patiently waiting for you to calm down and then we can carry on. Brilliant.
Obviously, you'd already had a fair bit of work before High Times. You'd been in America with Rushmore and things like that. How did it feel, like, obviously coming back and getting back into TV in your hometown? You know what I mean?
I was always just doing stuff here, you know what I mean? That was the anomaly going to America for 6 weeks. It's not like I was there for a couple of years and came back with an accent, you know? I went there, I did a job, I came back.
You didn't come back with that wee D that they stick in there instead of a T?
No, I did not. Listen, the charm that got me the job in America was the fact that I didn't change how I spoke, you know what I mean? I think that was part of being able to land that job. But there's nothing better than doing something where you're from and having the people that surround you all the time enjoying the work that you do. I'm a bit of a homebody, so it never interested me to go to London. I want to work in London. I want to work everywhere. I want to work in Yorkshire. I want to work in Manchester. I want to work in America. I want to go into all these places and work, but I want to live here. This is where I live. So if I get to work where I live, brilliant. It's just a dream come true. And if that job happens to be something like High Times, I'm on cloud nine. I was absolutely on cloud nine doing that job. But those with spending that time, because we were in that building for the minute we got there to the minute we went home, and we were usually all brought in at the same time because they would just be moving round the flats and shooting stuff. It was, very low budget, very kind of off the hoof kind of stuff. Yep. So we were together a lot, hanging about in a block of flats where it's just, I grew up in a block of flats, so I felt really at home there, and I kind of, the smoking room, which they had back then, was where the bin shoots. It was minging, it was horrible, but everybody smoked back then. So we were literally all in there in this really smoky environment, just chatting away for hours on end, in between. So, somebody would have to go away and film something, but it was just such a great family atmosphere with people that you knew or got to know really quickly, and that's a different thing from going away to America and working, and you know what I mean. And people saying things like "don't talk to the talent" and all that. You know what I mean? I remember that. I heard that the first time I was in America. One of the crew said, "We're not supposed to talk to the talent." I was like, "You fucking talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? Talk to the talent?" I couldn't. I just weird.
You are the talent, though, right?
According to them, I mean, I would never call myself the talent. I would never walk in and go, "Are you talking to me? I'm the fucking talent. don't talk to me. I want everybody to talk to me." Do you know what I mean? I want to have a good time when I'm at work. And listen, there is no fucking difference to me between the crew and the cast. It's one team working together to make one product. And if everybody works together and works together as a unit, brilliant. But see, arsehole actors give all actors a bad name. They really do, you know what I mean? Some crew just don't like actors because they've had run-ins with arsehole actors who think they're fucking better than them. I can't stand it. I can't stand it, you know, and you know, there is no division for me. They work harder, they work longer hours, you know what I mean? They probably get more work because it's quite specialised what they do, and every fucking man in his dug wants to be an actor. So there's a saturation in the market on my end of stuff, do you know what I mean? So it's really difficult for me to get work. But they're all really good, highly trained professionals in a technical aspect. And if they're good at what they do, they go from job to job to job. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's sure as shit's easier than auditioning and having to play different characters all the time, which is a different skill set every single time you go to get a job. So that's difficult for us, but they work longer, harder hours. So this, you know, everybody's got their thing to do, but when we're all working together, we're all working together. And that's, I don't know how I got into that. It's a bit of a rant there. We just cut that bit out.
No, you're basically just kind of giving us the difference between working on your home soil with a group of people as opposed to being in America and kind of the whole pompous. Then I speak to the...
but you know what, that was shot down instantly by me, and I don't think any actor on that job was like that. You know, but that was clearly something that crew member had been told on another job in America, and was nervous about talking to actors. But you just wouldn't get that. You would not get that here.
It's a different world over here, isn't it?
Totally. It's a bit of a real world. You know?
For sure, imagine that.
Everybody's got real fucking teeth. That's a big difference.
For better or for worse.
We've yet to speak to anybody from High Times that haven't been down to earth and just proper, really, really good people, which are that's pretty much what you're saying there, that everybody in that squad were just amazing people to be around.
And I tell you what, for all these, and that's a good point, right? For all that we've spoken to some of the producers, and I don't know if you have spoken to any of the directors yet.
Not yet.
But on High Times, a proper family atmosphere, cast and crew. We had a party. I think it was for the end of season 2, and we had a huge rap party, which was happened to follow on Halloween. So we had a Halloween rap party, and it still to this day remains one of the best parties I've ever been to in my entire life. It was absolutely brilliant, and everybody was there, and everybody went to massive lengths to dress up, and tell you, just an absolutely amazing atmosphere between everybody.
What did you do?
We heard what you went as.
Somebody's mentioned
I was Pablo Escobar.
That's right.
And there was karaoke, and I went up and sang Cocaine in Pablo Escobar's voice. It was brilliant.
I was just going to ask you what made that party the best one you've ever been to, but I think you've just answered it.
No, it was purely because I was into Pablo Escobar at the time. The product.
Did you not DJ that night as well, or did?
I don't think I DJed that night, but I used to DJ lots of places, and the guys would come along.
That's right. I think it was Comerford that told us about that. Says you were really hot on the decks.
Aye, hot on the decks. I like how you did that with your finger there. It was almost like doing that with your pinky at the side of your mouth. You hot on the decks. Aye. Listen, music's been a huge part of my life since I was a teenager. You know, I remember going to the first time I was in the Archies, and it blew my mind. I was working there. I was behind the bar. I told them I was 18, but I was really 17. I'd never really been to a club apart from like the under-18s. Used to go to Panama Jack, stuff like that. But that super club, that massive place, all those people, everybody was having a great time. It blew my mind. The music blew my mind. I used to go up and annoy the Slam Boys every single time I was in there working with a pad and a pen, and I'd be like, what's that track? What's that track? What's that track? And they would always put them up on the side for me so that I could write them down, and I would go and I would buy them. So this big record collection before I ever had a set of decks.
Wow.
And I just love it. I just love music, you know. So I'll be that guy. You know, your dad's a DJ. You know what I mean? I am that guy now. When I DJ in places, I'll get asked for a request, and I'll just go, I don't do requests, and then I'll go and complain to my mate who runs the bar, and I'll go, that old guy on the decks won't play my song. He delights and coming to tell me he just called you an old guy. Old guy on the decks. No, the DJ, the old guy on the decks.
There's a difference, right? From being a DJ.
There's a huge difference.
So obviously your brother Paul, who's also in the show, we mentioned that already.
Oh yeah.
He is a pretty decent songwriter and guitarist. You never tried any of that, or were you just no good at
it? I tried guitar twice in my life. Both of them failed miserably. I play harmonica. I play the drums a wee bit. Nothing to write home about. I'm better at the harmonica. I tried to play saxophone. That's my instrument. That's my sexy instrument that I would love to play. You know what I mean? I would gladly lose a couple of toes if I could just gain the ability to play the saxophone. You know? So I've tried that. I've tried to learn saxophone as well, but no, he's got all the musical talent. Aye. Well, I'm a better singer, but he's got all the musical talent.
We're gonna have to make that a thing.
To the test, aye.
That's a total lie. I can't sing at
all. What was it good for you to? Because obviously at the time, High Times had been commissioned, and you were looking to be doing something that looked to be something that was going to be ongoing. For you, like for me, if it was me and Jordan, and we were just being cast in something that had the potential to do what you were expecting it to do, Jordan and I would be like, oh my God, this is great. It would be an experience. It'd probably be a better experience for me knowing that he's part of it as well. Do you know what I mean? Was that the same for you, knowing that your brother was working on it and you were part of a really tight-knit cast?
Absolutely. Paul's the reason I became an actor. Right? I wouldn't be doing this if he didn't do it first. I was the kind of wee brother that wanted to do everything that his big brother was doing.
That's what he said.
Absolutely idolised. Well, it's true. I idolised him when I was a kid. He was handsome. He was tough. He took no shit for anybody. He was just, you know, it was something to look up to. And when he was doing acting, I was like, blew my mind. I want to do that as well. And you know, things happened, and I became a professional actor, and he didn't. He didn't really follow it. He was working, he was married, he was, having kids and stuff at a really young age. Not really young, it's not like a child bride or anything like that, but as standards, was at 20-year-old, he was getting married and, having his first kid and stuff like that. But if it wasn't for him doing it, I wouldn't have done it. So I was constantly on it, Paul, to get back into it. All the time, I constantly say to him, you should be doing this. You should be where I am. I'm getting all these opportunities. I'm going, to America and doing stuff like that. And I'm doing all that stuff. You should definitely be doing this, without a doubt. And I badgered him until he relented and did it.
Yeah.
And he's supremely talented, and he's far better at the whole comedy thing than I am. Do you know what I mean? He's proved that with the Lemmy stuff. It's still in awe of all that. I think it's amazing. But Paul's he's the reason that we're even sitting here having this conversation. So
that's amazing.
I love him dearly, and he's I hope he has nothing but success.
Well, for anybody listening to this, should go and check out Paul's Twitch channel. It's called Paul's Into. So Paul SIN and the number 2.
Or is it Paul Sin 2?
Well, you'll need to check out the Twitch to find out.
So I think it's got a double meaning there, probably.
Exactly.
I don't know.
But he's ready to start really going at it on Twitch.
It's good. I can't wait to be a guest on his new Twitch channel.
For sure.
And then launch my own, because whatever he does, I need to do. So
right, and then imagine it becomes a bit of a battle between the McCole brothers.
Yeah, but I say this, that the Paul being, excuse me, choking up there a wee bit. No, Paul being in Blackout, as I say, it was because of Paul that I got an audition for Blackout. So again, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. He shared that with me. And
how did he feel about that? Like when he showed you it, and you were
probably fucking gutted. I'll be honest with you. Back then, probably fucking gutted. He was like, I'm never telling him about anything. No, I'm joking. Listen, we've always been each other's greatest supporters. We have. And I tell you, I say that about all my pals that are actors, and I'm not one of these people that just hangs about with endless amounts of actors. I've got pals, really good mates who are actors, and we go up for the same work a lot. And we'll say to each other, if no me, you. That's and there'll be loads of groups of friends that do this job that will be like that.
Absolutely.
You can't be in competition. You're only in competition with yourself.
True.
If people start acting like they're in competition with other people, they're already lost. They've lost life. They've lost in life. To start, competing with other actors. You're the only one that can get or not get the job.
Control the controllable.
Exactly, control the controllable. Everything else, forget about it. Walk away.
Exactly.
I can't remember the last time I worried about whether I get a job or not. I do my best in that self-tape or that rare audition where you're actually in the room. And then I go on with my life. And if I get a phone call telling me I've got it, I still jump about like the first time I got a job. I jump about for joy. I can't believe I've done it, but I no longer worry about it. Because it's out of my hands. So that I suppose that sort of wisdom comes with age. Whereas when you're young, a young actor, it's everything. You'll sit by the phone, you'll stress out, you'll make yourself sick with worry, with want, with the desperation of just wanting that job. Which I don't do that to myself anymore.
anymore.
It's a healthy way to be.
Years and years I did that to myself. I couldn't. You couldn't live like that.
I think as long as you put your name in the pot, get your shot. That's pretty much you controlling the controllable. Just
exactly.
At the end of the day, you never know exactly. Truly, you can only be your version of you or what is they want. You're never going to be able to sway them for what they're looking for. It's just one of those fucking doing the match, right?
Well, yeah, in a way, but sometimes and a lot of the times they don't know what they're looking for. So you need to just show them what you've got, and then if they go, oh well, that's what I'm looking for, then you've got it. But if you're going to act, listen, I've auditioned for lots of big things, right? And I've done a great job in the audition. I felt good about it. I mean, that's really good. I mean, I could definitely play this part.
Mm-hmm.
And 9 times out of 10, it's a really famous person that plays it. So there's a lot of the time where you feel like a bench warmer, you know, or a seat filler at the Oscars. You're there to make up the numbers because the casting agent's got to send in a certain amount of tapes, or they've got to have an A list and then a B list and a C list. So if everybody in the A list knocks it back, down to the B list. If everybody in the B list knocks it back, down to the C list.
Right.
I mean, that's just the reality of the world that we live in, you know. And you know when you're doing auditions for some of the things. I'll not mention what it is, but the one I was talking to you about the other day, right? That, you know, the one that we were talking about, right? Now, we'll not mention what it is, but the chances of me being the person that plays that are 1,000,000 to 1.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Exactly. So I still did it, right. and I still did the best possible job that I could do at it, knowing in the back of my mind that will be a very likely an already established famous actor, because it's a huge role in a huge film, but they need the depth of pool. You know what I mean? You need that depth of pool, to use like a football analogy. You need enough people to cover all the bases.
I'm going to predict that. So
do you know how deep that pool was for High Times? I don't know how much.
No, it was just me. I used to be a horrible. Well, listen. Obviously, in Scotland or in Glasgow, the pool is a lot shallower.
Yeah.
So you know, I'll go up for. It's different now that I'm a wee bit older. I think I'll always go up for jobs, and I'll know that certain actors will very likely be up for them as well. But then again, I'm in a bigger pool now, so I'll go up against actors, and I'll walk into a room, and there'll actually be actors in that room that I fucking adore what they do. And my heart sinks a wee bit, you know, because I'm just like, I'd give you the job. You know, if I was casting it, I would give it to you because you're amazing. So you're battling against, as I say, you're only ever in competition with yourself. So you're battling those wee demons, you know, to tell you, nah, you're good enough. You're just as good as him.
I'd like to make a prediction here, right? So that tape that you sent off, in this specific project, there's someone else at the head of this. The person that chooses the actor, right? He's aware of that kind of world, and this is how he's going to go, or she. It's going to be like this. I want something. I want to watch these all, right? I'll leave all that shit at the door about their stature and the act, right? And they're going to go like this. I want to watch all these, and the first one that makes me go, wow, that's the one. And then they're going to go through them. They're going to get to your tape, and it's going to stand out. So I'm just putting this on record. If you get that call back, I fucking called it, mate. Right?
I'm a storyteller, and my stories must be told. It's a beautiful story you've just told there, but it's not how it's going to go.
I don't know.
It's how it's going to go is they'll say, did so-and-so accept an offer to play this part? They'll go, yes. They go, stick our own fucking tapes in the bin. I don't need them. That's how it goes.
No.
Listen, you're talking about fucking Hollywood here, right? In Hollywood, there are scripts. There is a script mountain in Hollywood of scripts that they've bought and paid for, $500,000 here, $250,000 there, that no one has ever read.
Wow.
Sitting in a corner of a room because it's just all about making money. It's like the stock market. Certain actors have a massive stock price on them, and they go, if we get this guy, no matter how good or bad the film is, we will make X amount of money. Now, I might sound quite jaded or maybe realistic, I don't know. But I think that when I go up for jobs that are massive, the chances of anybody even watching that tape are very slim, right? But that doesn't stop me from doing the absolute best job that I can on the off chance. But this is why I don't worry about them once I take them.
Yeah.
Or once I send them away. I move on. I forget about them. I move on. I do other things. Now, if I get a phone call 3 weeks later going, you've got a recall, excellent. I get to do it again.
Yeah.
You know, I get to do that thing again. And then maybe one day you'll get that third recall or that fourth recall. But it's a crapshoot, this job, you know. But then there's some actors, some directors and producers who know your work, who know you're a capable actor, and they just need a capable actor to play a certain role in a thing. And I get a good amount of those jobs, which I'm really happy with.
I heard, and I think it was one of the lassies for Game of Thrones, Sophie Turner, was saying that she has been selected for roles that other people that were up for them would have smashed far better than her. But the reason she got it was because of her social media following. Apparently, a social media following is a huge rocket up the arse of an actor.
How ridiculous is that?
Would you agree with that?
Well, it's not even I think agree or disagree with. It's a fact. It's a fact. They did a thing in the Stage magazine kind of industry newspaper years ago about how the casting process in the West End for musicals was one of the criteria was your Twitter followings. Now, what the fuck does that have to do whether an actor is good enough to play a role or not? It means nothing.
Cuts the ad budget though, right?
Of course it does. That's exactly it. Bums on seats. Same with cinema, bums on seats. Now, I don't really do social media. You know, I've had to walk away from it during all this COVID madness. I've come away from all of it. I've never been happier in my life. However, a lot of these people don't touch the social media either. They've got other people to do it for them. And that's absolutely fine. I have no problem with that. If people want to kind of follow whoever they're following and think that it's them, or maybe they don't even care whether it's actually them or not, it's their PA tweeting. That's fine. But should it be part of the casting process? Absolutely not.
No,
it's ridiculous.
It's a kind of a sad state of affairs that the world's kind of found itself in now, where, like you said, it's the numbers that matter as opposed to the talent.
You know, this is serious stuff, and I would just like to remind you about, you know, prop cheese. When this podcast used to be fun to listen to, and people weren't fucking bored out of their tits listening to us bang on about auditions and stuff.
No, but that's been really good because with regards to this episode, it's good that you're bringing your story from High Times, but you're also giving it a unique behind the curtain look at what it's like for actors, and it kind of in contrast shows that getting to High Times, you know, the probable chances of you getting on that were a lot greater than that of Hollywood, and it just kind of shows, you know, the difference between your homegrown stuff here and the kind of stuff that actors seek when they become an actor, right?
It's exactly the same here. Don't, you know, I'd like to just apologise to all the listeners. I did try and bring it back to comedy, but we'll continue with the serious stuff just for another couple of minutes. But it's just the same. It's exactly the same here, right? I auditioned for a thing recently, and you know, it was quite a big kind of thing on TV, and you know, I'd learned this was actually an audition, which are quite rare these days. In the room, casting agent, director. Amazing, can't wait, brilliant. Learned all the scenes, rocking, ready to go. Had them totally. I was ready to get this role, right? And that's kind of where I think some actors really shine, when they get to show their personality face to face, and you get to chat about, you know, what you would do with the character, or, you know, how you feel about the piece as a whole and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I was sitting with the casting agent and the director. And I started my first scene, and I'm giving it, the casting director's reading away with me, and the director's phone goes off, right? So I just stop and look at the director, and she just picks her phone out of her pocket and looks at it, and she goes, "Oh, right, I have to take this," and walks out, right? And I look at the casting director, and I'm like, "What the fuck's going on?" I mean, I've never in my life had somebody answer their phone in the middle of an audition. Yeah. And I mean, if I did that, if my phone went off, I would be begging for an apology, you know. And I was she's low. I mean, the casting director was fucking horrified at this, right? And she's gone, "Really, I'm so sorry, but can we just continue with me and you?" And I went, "Yeah." I could have just sent a fucking self-tape in.
You
know, if this was just, I mean, no offence to you, it's always great to sit and be in the room with them as well, but you want to be sitting there with the director, the person with the final say in the casting. So it says, okay, we'll just wait. The director pops her head in and goes, that was the casting phone call we were waiting for. You just wrapped this up yourself and fucked off again. And I was like, well, clearly that phone call was about whoever is going to play this fucking part that I'm sitting here auditioning for.
What?
And then the casting director made me go through the rest of the audition. Where in the back of my head going, she's just heard from whoever that they've accepted this role.
Oh.
And I'm now sitting
wasting your time.
Wasting my time.
What a fucking
so and that happens here. That happened here. That was in Glasgow. That was last year. That was a crushing moment,
mate.
You know, but again, I walked out of there and I went, that's a story. See, but everything's a story now, right? That's a story I can tell down the line. So it has value.
Yes.
You know, it has a certain bit of value. I was incensed for a minute, and then I kind of laughed about it and went, great story, I'll tell that on a podcast one day. And there you go. Everything has value, but listen, it's not like a piece of piss to walk into an audition in Glasgow and just get it, right? It's no, the different worlds, but at the end of the day, it's the same game.
Yeah.
You know, everybody wants the best actors they can get, and sometimes that's the most famous actors or the best they can get for the money they've got. You know, and sometimes you will fit into that, and sometimes you won't, and sometimes you'll be the backup guy. You know, like my mate of mine directed Atlantis. Remember Atlantis, the kind of TV show that they did, and he's like, "Well, I'll get you in for Hercules. You're perfect for it. It's going to be brilliant." Because he's a fat, out of shape Hercules. I went, "Oh, cheers, mate." And he's no strong, and he's a bit pathetic. And I went, "Oh, brilliant! That's me down to the grin, right?" So I went in and I met the showrunners, the guys that were running it and stuff, and I did fucking audition. They were like, "Brilliant, we'll bring you back. We'll do the audition with the other guys, see how you fit in." So I went back and I did Pythagoras and all these other actors, and I went, I'm in with this. This is huge for me. This is massive. So your hopes, you get to that second and third meeting and you're going, oh, here we go, right? I'm up for it. And I had done the play Black Watch before, and then I got a phone call saying it's going back out on tour. It's going to South Korea. It's going to America. They want you back to play the part. So I'm going, but that's happening at the same time as this possible big game changer. Yeah. So you're stuck in that. No, what do I do? So I phones up my mate and I'm going, look, where are we sitting with this? Which is something as an actor, you never really have the opportunity to do that. Because I had a personal connection with him. I went, look, mate, really, you need to be straight with me. What are my chances? You know, I'm feeling good about it. And he went, they've just offered it to, I think it was Mark Addy that played it. And they've just offered it to him. And I went, well, where am I sitting? He says, well, maybe about third or fourth in the... And I went, well, what if he doesn't take it? Well, they'll offer it to the guy that's in second place. What if he doesn't take it? Is it mine? I mean, I'm still holding on to the fact that two people might fall seriously ill and I might still get this big job. And he goes, to be honest with you, I think they'll audition you again. And I just went, nah, take me out of the running. You've just got, I said, I need to go for the guaranteed thing, you know? Yeah. But those are again, you walk out and you go, there's a story. That's got a bit of value to it. That was quite funny. You know? It was absolutely devastating at the time. But now it's just a funny anecdote, you know? Yeah. And Mark Eddy did take it, so the guy in second place felt just as bad as me at fourth or fifth place, wherever I was sitting. You know?
You can get some solace in that then. Anyway, let's bring it back. Let's bring it to high times.
Fuck, that's what we're talking about.
But that's good. That's good. It's good to hear these kind of...
Absolutely. I wasn't saying it, wasn't he? One of the questions I've got is you mentioned earlier on about how the the show still stands up. Even for us, like we literally saw it at the start of this year and were blown away by it. One thing that gets brought up is the relationship between Rab and Tracy, and could you get away with that now? And mine and Kevin's opinion on it is one thing. I just want to know what yours is.
I have never heard anybody mention that relationship in all these years, apart from you two. And that's absolutely God's honest truth. Nobody has ever been as obsessed with that relationship as you guys are.
I think it's because it was 15 years ago.
Yeah, but I think that's because you exist in this time and have seen it in this time for the first time.
Yeah.
Back then, it's not like it's for me. Even shooting it was always that kind of it was kind of Lolita thing, right? What happens when a young girl has advances towards an older guy, right? Now, remember, Rab's only like in his early 20s, kind of mid-20s, right? 26 or something, right? So it's 10 years difference between them. And that's how I played it. I played it, well, what happens if you're constantly getting badgered by a young girl who is giving sexual advances to you?
Yeah.
She doesn't really know what she's doing. She certainly doesn't think about the consequences of what she's doing. All you're thinking about is the consequences of what she's doing. So the comedy in that role wasn't that there was an attraction in any way for me. When I was playing it and reading it on the script and performing it, it was this guy can't get it out of his head that he's going to get strung up and murdered, not because he fancies her, not because there's any attraction on his side at all. It's because she's making advances to him and nobody will believe him.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? So I remember he's mentioning the scene where he wakes up in bed and she's in the bed next to him and she's got her clothes on. You've read that as in they were drunk and went to bed together.
Oh, no.
He's let her in the house and she's got into bed with me in the morning while I'm sleeping there. You know what I mean? So there's that at no point for me does Rab make an advance towards her.
No,
and at any point in the show. And I think that for me was why it was never an issue. It was always a thing about a young girl coming to some sort of sexual awakening and having a fixation with an older guy that gives her a bit of time, that, you know, is happy to spend time with her and stuff, but she gets to a certain age. Listen, she's buying weed off him. He's a weed dealer. He's not perfect. He's certainly not. Do you know what I mean? But his paranoia about the advances, the things that she's saying to him and doing, that's where the kiddie fiddler thing, which is one of my favourite things ever. I actually want a Scrabble board with that on the t-shirt.
Oh, we can make it
would be cool, you know. But I think that, and can you imagine walking about with that in the States? So you'd have to explain the whole series a high times. Mate, it's a TV show for back in the 90s. No, don't, stop hitting me.
Kiddie fiddler.
But, so for me, that's, and I was gagging for you to ask me that question, because you could do that now, because that's what it was about. It's about somebody getting unwanted advances onto him. Now, what I love about it, though, is that the relationship between them grows. She stops looking at him like that. She's just another one of the crew that comes and hangs out. She's as funny, if not funnier, than them. She's smart as a fucking whip. She's grown up really quickly because of what's going on with her mum and dad. Do you know what I mean? So when you get to this, once all that goes out the way in the second series, there's none of that.
Yeah.
So the fact that they hook up at the end of that is, for me, totally believable, totally class. Nobody's chasing anybody. It's that moment of vulnerability that Rab goes through, and she's like there, and she's his really good pal. And you know what? In the real world, people have relationships that are 10 years apart. You know, at that age. And I think that because it happens organically, and she's no longer that wee lassie chasing him, she's his equal, you know, in that moment. So for me, the fun in playing that was in playing the paranoia of what was going to happen to him if anybody believed her, because she's telling people he's
Aye.
thinking she's telling people that we're together.
Yeah.
I'm going to get murdered for that. So his whole thing is just pure paranoia,
Aye.
and hers is not really quite yet understanding
Aye.
do-
that stuff, you know.
You do see Rab kind of glancing at her chest just before the kiddie fiddler part.
But you do, because
He's a guy.
she's got massive tits and well, but listen, there's no me talking. There's, you know, guys sitting about and she's wearing this low cut thing, and she shouldn't be. Hurry, she probably shouldn't be wearing that, but she is, and it's right in front of him, and he's trying, you know, that glance,
Aye.
and he's like, oh fuck, and then it's kiddie fiddler, and then it's, you know,
The guy getting killed.
but he's not looking at her chest going, oh here you are,
Aye,
look at
for
that.
sure.
That's totally not what's happening there.
Aye.
It's a glance by
Yeah.
mistake. He looks away, and what he sees is kiddie fiddler, and here's the thing on the telly. It all feeds into his paranoia. You know? And I think that's why back then it was never. I think it was totally implied in all the way it was written and how it was played that it was never a thing of an inappropriate relationship.
No, for sure.
Until the
just
second
clear-
series when they got together.
I just want to clear up my position on it, because I'd never even gave it a second thought until we were speaking to Carolyn, and it was Carolyn brought it up, and she asked us, "Do you think they'd get away with that now?" And then at that point, that's when I first thought about it, and I think that, like, the way you've explained it to us now, they probably could, but up until now I was thinking probably no, because we're in such a pussy generation now, and everybody's out to be offended by
I don't think, see, here's the thing, I don't think everybody is out to be offended. I think everybody's scared to offend.
Mm-hmm.
It's a totally, listen, people have always been offended.
Mhm.
Aye.
There's nothing's different. Nothing's different. Social media means that a bunch of people can call for your cancellation.
Aye.
So people are scared. But also some things just shouldn't be written about or joked about or put in. Context is everything.
Mhm.
If you just do something to offend, fuck you, you're an idiot.
Aye.
You shouldn't be allowed anywhere near television or film or books or poetry or anything if all you want to do is offend people.
Mhm.
Now, if you want to tell a story that has something in it that some people may find offensive, fine. You put a caveat on it and say, well, this contains this kind of thing, which all the shows are doing now. So you should be able to put anything you want in a show, as long as it's there for a reason. It's not there to just insult anybody.
Mhm.
And you say before it, don't watch this if this kind of shit offends you.
Mhm.
Nobody's got any excuses now. You can't go about, I'm going to purposely watch all this stuff that offends me so that I can go on it and cancel people on the internet. Fuck off. No, it's ridiculous, but I definitely think that don't get caught up in that thing of the world has changed. It fucking hasn't.
Aye.
The same things that offended people back then offend people now. But
Just have a
people
voice now.
people are really worried about how they tell these. Back then, there was lots of programs, I think, back in the day that were just offensive for the sake of being offensive, because there was no real rules about it, you know, and you could get away with stuff. And it was, you know, those water cooler moments people were looking for. Oh my God, did you see that?
Mhm.
You know, but there's too much content now. You can't get away with that.
Yeah.
You know,
I think as well, like with Rab and Tracy, there was always a chemistry there where people at home kind of did want to see them get closer. Would you agree with that?
no.
Definitely.
I wouldn't. What I think is that I think people got on board with the situation. A young girl, an older guy, advances, unwanted, paranoia. This is horrible. Get her to fuck. I mean, how many times did they say, get her to fuck?
Aye.
Aye.
Don't
Can she
let
fuck?
her in here. Get her to fuck. Get her out of here. I don't want her here. And that's not because he didn't like her. Because he was terrified of what might happen if people got the wrong idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
So there's comedy in that. And that's why people go on board with that storyline, because what guy can he relate to that? That's a fucking nightmare. That is a fucking nightmare. You know, a young teenager coming on to an older guy and I'm not wanting it and being like, get to fuck. That's hilarious. And that's why that relationship worked. And I think the friendship that they developed through it, overcoming it, being there for each other, because he's there for her when the shit happens with the mum and dad. You know what I mean? He feels sorry for her. There's definitely that taking under your wing. So it very quickly develops into something else. It develops into a protective thing. You know, by the episode 3 or 4, it develops into this protective kind of almost Big Brother's thing, you know?
Because you threatened that wee lassie outside the shop as well.
I didn't really threaten her. I asked her if her dad was still dealing grass in a threatening manner.
Way before Lee Evans done it. That was way before Lee Evans done it.
Well, you know, I'm a starter of things. But I think that relationship was brilliant, and it developed so naturally. And working with somebody as talented as Stephanie, who played that in such, you know, could go from just pure innocence to fucking trouble within a couple of lines of a scene. And you totally bore it, you know. So you totally bore everything that Stephanie brought to that part. It was very easy to act after that, you know, and develop that relationship with her. And John Rooney, I mean, see, again, the scripts and how the relationships develop. All too often with stuff that people will bang the same thing. They'll bang that same drum. This is what's happening. This is why it's funny. This is whereas with John, it's the story arc that's important. And there's comedy and reality. It's that whole thing, truth and comedy. You know, so you take two characters. What happens if this character does that to that character? Well, write that for real, and there'll be fucking good comedy in there. You know how people really talk, and there's no enough of that on TV anymore.
That's unfortunate. Stephanie, actually, she kind of looks at you as a mentor. She says,
I heard that.
I bet you're sitting there like, I've paid her well.
She will. Me and the wife were lying in bed when we were listening to that, and she burst out laughing when Stephanie said that. You a mentor. You know what? The best thing I ever did for Stephanie was when she was considering going to hairdressing school or makeup college or something. I just said, why would you do that when you've already experienced film? Now, if you don't want to, you know, fair enough, you don't want to waste your time auditioning and, you know, that plugging away trying to be an actor. Be a producer. Learn how to produce. Go and learn about the industry you're already in, and give me a job one day. She's yet to do that, so I'm not that much of a fucking mentor, am I?
She said she wants to get back into acting. The way she worded it to us, actually, which you will have heard, is it was actually Stephen that was like, you know what, you'd actually be better on the other side of the camera.
That's not what I said. She was telling me she was going to go and be a makeup artist or a hairdresser, which there's nothing wrong with those two professions, by the way. I'll just say that right now. But she was already kind of involved in like me filmmaking things, and I was like, go and learn how to do that properly. You know, that's if you're going to go to college for anything, you go to college for the thing you're already doing. And also she was part of my improv comedy group.
That's right.
And I thought, well, if we can get our own producer, one day we'll be the next Monty Python. So I was seeding it, and I was quite selfishly seeding it in for her to go away. Being the youngest and you know most driven one of us, she could go away and learn how to raise money and be a producer.
Well, she does, and that's what she's doing now. You know, so
you're welcome, Stephanie.
I know, Stephanie, give him a call, man. Get him the role.
Give me a job. That's how hard it is to get a job in Scotland. Even people that consider me a mentor won't give me a job.
God,
have you got a kind of moment of the show that stands out to you as like your favourite bit or your favourite line, anything like that? Or is it all just too good?
I think we just, and this is purely nothing to do with taking away from anything of the beautiful stuff that John Rooney wrote, but I think it was just taking the piss out of Paul with the wee guitar and stuff. Jimmy, I'm cool as fuck, yeah. Because that was me. I was doing that. That was me doing that about Paul. Because I shared a room with him when he was learning how to play the guitar, and the pain that my ears went through for years until I became good at it. That was a wee bit of payback. And it's always nice when you can do a wee nod to something in something, and nobody would know about it apart from the people that it's for. So that stands out only because Paul mentioned it and it popped into my head, because I know it really rankled him because he knew I was talking about him. I think that the bit with the Jehovah's Witnesses and rolling a joint on the Bible, for me as an atheist was brilliant. I was quite happy. I'm quite happy to offend anybody about anything, but if you can do it and it's actually really funny, then amazing. It's an amazing thing, and I think that scene was fucking hilarious. But I think I've got like a top fucking 20. Hold on, stop me when you've heard enough. But I think my favorite scene to film was the brown sauce wanking scene, and I think that I've never laughed so much trying to complete a scene, and Alan McCafferty was just cracking me up doing absolutely nothing. It was just watching me do it, but it was the way he was watching me, so intent. I couldn't keep a straight face. We'd shot so many outtakes of that, and I love it. I love a good crack up on set. It's good when you've got the time. Yeah, you know. But yeah, no, I think that there's so many of them. I could go on and on about, you know, moments. We used to play a game when we were kids called Moshi, which is 3 holes in the ground. People around the scheme in Castlemilk, where we grew up, would gamble on it, right? So it's like a game of skill with coins, and you'd go in the holes up and down. Right. So David Mackay, who's the director, also was from Castlemilk. And we were talking about Moshi one day, and then we went onto the set and they had drilled Moshi holes into their floorboards. So there's a scene where we're actually playing Moshi in the hall, in the living room.
Aye, that's right.
So that's what we're doing. So that's a nod to where we grew up in Castlemilk.
I didn't notice the holes. I thought there was that shingles. I think we used to play that. I used to play that as well.
Again, it's one of those really personal things that if you would only know if you knew, you know what I mean? The only thing that was really missing was somebody picking a coin out of one of the holes, and people would have really got it. But we kind of knew after talking to him, we went in and he went, "I've made you a Moshi court. Go do this scene playing Moshi." Brilliant stuff like that. You know, you go into a joke and everybody's listening to what everybody's got to say and what they've got to offer. You know, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful design choice by Davey. It was great.
Wow. Am I right in saying that the whole thing was done using one camera, or certainly the whole first series? Is that?
I remember there being 2 cameras.
Was there 2?
I may be wrong. Maybe it was the second series that the other cameras came in. I remember James Henry, the guy that directed the first few episodes, was big on, and that's I think why the kind of first episode is really beautiful, the way it's shot. You know, he was really into catching these like macro shots, and you know, he was very much a visual director. You know, and you know, whereas Davey was very much a leave me with the actors, we'll deal with this, and Justin was very much the same. You know, let's deal with the actors, and then everything else happens really quickly once they know what they're doing. Everything's good. Total faith in the crew. You know, to come in and do their job, but you know, they would work really hard on the actors and stuff.
Did you ever have any like really funny moments on the set or during the time filming? Like for example, we've said that a few times, but John Morrison getting his dick out kind of thing. Like that was told to us by Alison Peebles. So, is there any kind of moments for you that no one will have known about because they weren't actually related to the show, but not so much an outtake, but something that really funny that happened while you were on the set?
Well, I was just thinking about something, and I can't tell you without the other person's.
Is it someone we've already spoken to?
Say so. No, you know, you can't even want to tell stories out of school. You know, I'll think of something else, but there's one that sticks in my mind.
You could just say, you could tell us a story and just say subject B, and then we all just kind of
No, but then you would figure it out because you'd know who's in the fucking scene with me, so you would know.
Right, what we can do is we can record it separately at the end, and then we'll put it in if you get permission.
No, because here's the thing. Let's just guess all the. So he's been in a scene with Stephanie, Alan, John Morrison at one point when he got threatened. So we're eliminating the possibilities.
I think the party scene was a brilliant scene. That was done all in one shot. So if you watch that, you notice that the camera just goes round the party, picking people up, and it never cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was a spectacular moment to watch, because I did not think for a fucking million years that would work. You know, and I just couldn't figure it out, but that's why I'm no director and Justin is. You know, he was like, trust me, and the way he had the lighting in the room, so the room was completely lit for everybody, but you couldn't see any lights, and this is a tiny wee room in a flat and a block of high flats. So it's really clever what the crew did there to hide all the lights. And from a technical standpoint, I know it's not the dirty funny story that you're looking for with dick suit and stuff.
No.
But it was an amazing moment to watch, you know, to really and be a part of. And also I got to use my Michael Knight joke. You know, I'm away for a Michael Knight.
That's also the same scene that your brother gets Alison Peebles tongue in his throat, right?
Oh, aye. There you go. And did you ask him about that? Did you say, was the tongue really down your throat?
Was it a prop tongue?
It's a prop tongue, aye. You'd be amazed how many times that actually happens in film.
Prop tongues?
Yeah, prop tongues. So if you do a scene and you're supposed to see tongue going in and out of your mouth, like you're really passionate, it's a fake tongue somebody's got in their mouth.
Is it?
No. No buying it.
No, it's not. It's like fucking prop cheese, man. Why would you need a fake tongue?
Yeah, I'm fucking out of here.
I love it that he just says it's like prop cheese, so we're acknowledging that prop cheese is a thing.
All right, so I've had my prop tongue moment. You've had your prop cheese.
We'll wait on Stephen's prop.
John
Robin
Morrison's cock wasn't really his, you know. What I mean?
Prop cock. God, Robin Ashcroft had contacted us quite recently. She's been enjoying the shows as well. She's Chloe, your long lost daughter, which I imagine.
It's not long lost. I wasn't looking for her or anything. Do you know what I mean? You keep sending me things saying, "Oh, do you know where your daughter is now? Look where your daughter is." I'm like, and literally, that was just a random baby that they brought in for me to greet it.
It's just Kevin doing that. It's just Kevin doing that.
I know, it's so bizarre. It's so weird and stalkery. Stop sending me videos of some random lassie who was a baby. And I think, no, I'm joking. She's very talented.
She is, right?
She's very talented. It's pretty cool that she's been listening in. Hello to you. I think your voice is incredible. But interesting. You know, it's like, I'm that old now. That makes me feel really old. That baby that was there, and she obviously one of my favourite things was doing the baby talking, dreaming.
Yes.
But now here's what we had to do for that. I was talking to the babies when the camera was on the baby. I'm talking to the baby, trying to get the baby to mouth the words. To me, it's just, I mean, how weird and stupid that is to try and get a baby that doesn't talk to say Rab. And she did. She did it. If you watch the thing, she actually says it, Rab. And that was me that did that.
Oh, look.
I persevered and got her to say that so that they could put his voice on it.
Oh, man.
That's class.
What?
See, look, he's like, she's not my long lost daughter. She was just a baby, and then he's reminiscing how he taught her to talk.
I'm reminiscing about how brilliant I was in that moment to get her to do
that. She actually, that's one of her favourite things as well. She put that out on social media, that scene, which is really quite.
It must be lovely to be able to look back at something like that. You know, I never really think about that because I've had loads of, people bring their kids in that are pretending to be my kids. and I'll be honest, I never gave them a second thought once the job's done, or even that day's work is done. I never gave them a second thought because they're just kids and they probably don't want to be there. And, they serve their purpose. They're living, breathing, prop cheese.
Prop baby.
No, that's what they are. They're just kind of breathing props when you put babies on a thing. You know what I mean? It's not like you go, "We'll keep in touch." Who's your agent?
Handing the baby a card.
It's not this. It's not the same.
Her agent is actually Alan McCafferty's mum. She said.
Oh, is it, Maureen?
Yes. And did you know that she goes to school with Paul's kids?
I did not know.
Did you not know that? She's from Castlemilk.
No, here's the thing, though. You're asking me this as though I've been keeping tabs on her for the past fucking 16 years. I'll be very clear about this right now. Until you sent me a video of her singing in the street, I hadn't given her a second thought. Right.
Oh man!
No, I think it's lovely to reconnect that. But you're asking me things like, "Did you know she went to school with your brother's kids?" No, I wasn't keeping tabs on her in that case. Fucking bad mental thing you asked me. And you're saying it like you're incredulous, like I should have known. Why would I know that? You know that I'm not actually Rab Campbell, don't you?
You're prop Rab.
Fucking hell, man.
I would have thought that because of recent years, Robin has actually gone viral and stuff and done a lot of cool things via social media, and I would have thought that connection would have kind of established long before that we found it out. But
here's the thing: to know any of that, I would have to have been keeping tabs on a baby that was my baby in a TV show from 16 years ago. Now, this might be some weird thing that you would do, but who else would do that? Oh, you played my daughter in something. I'm going to become your unofficial godfather.
Showing up to parents' nights.
Exactly. If you ever need anything, just give me a call. No, that's so weird. I should have known. You fucking nutcase.
Do you know what? See, when the lockdown is over and the High Times reunion takes place, it's going to be this is your dad. I swear to God, we're going to have her come to it, maybe even perform. But it'd be pretty cool to.
I think that's brilliant because she's very talented.
Oh, hell
but
yeah.
You do know that we're not actually father and daughter. I think we're going to have to spend the next couple of months getting that through to you. The difference between fiction and reality.
So, Robin, what was it like growing up without a father?
Honest to God. She'll bring her own dialogue and she'll be like, "Oh, that's my dad." Be like, "No, it's no. No, it's no. It's him there. That's Rab Campbell."
Oh, well, for me, it was quite cool. It was quite cool to see her kind of get in touch, and the fact that she's still very much in the world of entertainment, and she's hella talented as well. I thought it was pretty cool. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to send this to Stephen with a wee bit of wink, nudge. Look what your daughter's up to these days.
And go, I can't believe you didn't already know this. I can't believe you weren't keeping weird tabs on a baby.
Can you imagine if you were like, I didn't know. I mean, like, imagine you were.
I mean, that's quite that's
a film in itself.
That is a disturbing film.
Aye.
It's one of them
starring Russell Crowe.
Creepy weird films.
Exactly. But that's pretty cool. I mean, we've kind of spoke a bit about on the show where this show would be if it was to be like brought back in any kind of capacity, and where the characters would be, and where each individual actor would like to have seen their characters. Where would if it was put to you tomorrow, right, Stephen, we're bringing back High Times, let's have a conversation about Rab. I know obviously you would just take what John Rooney gives you, but if you had kind of
my fucking Rooney's bitch, I just gave him top.
You said to me once, I'm a hired gun. I read what's on the paper and I go home.
Well, this is very true, unless I'm being given the chance to say what I want. Do you know what I mean?
So see, if you were given that, if you're presented with that, where would you love to see the story pick up 15 years later with Rab?
Well, here's the thing, right? I always thought that Rab was on some sort of weird trajectory. Mm-hmm. That I think if you met Rab now, that he would be quite a successful author of self-help books. Do you know what I mean? I think he would have put all these bullshit philosophies down, and idiots all around the world would have bought into it. and he would be doing like symposiums with the wee mic on and stuff. You know what I mean? You're the real you, blah blah blah. You know, and I always thought he'd be that kind of guy. You know what I mean? And I don't know. And I think Jake, I think that if we see them again, I think it's got to be a coming together. I don't think they've been together all this time. So I think that maybe, you know, Jake's stalking Rab. No, I think if you brought back High Times now, you'd have to get a slightly different intention. I think it would be comedy, but a lot darker. I think you would have it that, you know, you'd have it a little bit more. I would. That's how I always saw it. I like it when things develop over time. You know, I don't think you would be able to do that show and have the same kind of comedy, but you could certainly have the same characters moved on. The great thing is that High Times was very real. You know, it wasn't slapstick. It wasn't. These guys definitely existed in lots of different places all over Scotland and beyond. And the same goes for every character. So if you come back to them now, you concentrate on the drama first and the comedy follows, you know. So I think, a slightly darker edge to those characters would be really interesting.
It would be right.
So I think one of them was really successful. I don't know if it would be Rab or Jake, but I think one of them would be quite successful.
I always kind of got the idea that, like from watching it, that Jake probably had really well-to-do parents and told them to stay away from Rab, and probably would have been in a better position in life had he not hooked up and moved in with Rab. Would you agree with that?
No, they're scheme rats, man. Just like I was when I grew up. There's nothing wrong with that, you know what I mean? But I, you know, and there's lots of amazing families that grow up in schemes that didn't want their wains hanging about with the fucking knobs like Rab Campbell. So I don't think you need to take, you know, you need to, you know, apply money or middle classness to that situation. There's plenty of people. Listen, my dad was scary as fuck, and the reason why me and Paul kind of stayed on the straight and narrow was that he would be like, "Don't worry about them fucking arseholes out there. You worry about what I'll do to you when you come back here." So you'd be more terrified about what he would do, you know. And it was that tough love, you know. Didn't you be, you know, what I thought was hanging about me an element, he would have done something about it, you know. He was all about the protection, you know. Not so much about the warm and fuzzies. That's all right. When you grow up in a place like that, you kind of need that. So I think that they grew up together, and I think his family, have been like for years, you know. That's the doomed friendship. I think that not only could you have a sequel to High Times, you could have a prequel set in the 80s when the two of them are wains.
Oh man,
it could be fucking hilarious.
Who would you have play you and Jake?
I don't know. I'm not a fan with all the child actors in Scotland.
I thought you kept tabs on the kids.
I think we've covered this, that I don't keep tabs on the child actors of Scotland. But there's a great casting director could cast that, and you could definitely have the similar kind of vibe between them, you know what I mean? So I don't know. John Rooney could write anything as far as I'm concerned.
Do you know what? See, if I ever make a lot of money, I'm totally putting the money down to all the right people to make High Times a thing again. That would be, if I had a vision board, which is all in here, that would be one. Like, because I can watch High Times over and over again and still find new wee things about it. Do you know what I mean? Again,
you know, that whole hired gun thing, brilliant. Yeah, let's do it. I'd love to play Rab Campbell again. I'd love to be with all of those people again. You know, for me, it would have to be like all the characters. You know, that would really be a dream come true, to be in a room with all them. But it's 12 great episodes of a great show. Not a lot of people get to do that. And their lifetime as actors, to have that to look at and go, those are 12 episodes that I am absolutely 100% proud of, every single bit of that, and I'm absolutely honoured to be a part of it. That's not an everyday occurrence. So if nothing happens for your fantasy of continuing the High Times story or the sequel or the prequel or anything like that, I'm happy. You know, I am. I'm truly happy to have been part of it. And I had to, the disappointment of it not going to a third series had to get shaken off pretty quickly, because you drive yourself mad thinking about that.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to just go, right, well, that's done, next. And that's the kind of job, this job that we're in, you know. You guys as fans of something can sit and really fantasize about these things. We can't afford that. we can't. It would drive us insane.
Yeah.
Because that's not the only job that it's happened. You know, these things do happen. Often things get cancelled, and you would drive yourself insane worrying about the next thing. So I think it's beautiful that you've latched on to it and you appreciate it so much. I think it's brilliant. It's been great to revisit it and listen to everybody talking about it again. It's absolutely brilliant. This is the next thing of High Times, you know. And if there's something else brilliant, but you've already given us another wee thing of High Times.
No, that's for us,
and it's beautiful, you know.
We've bloody loved every part of it. And you know, we've spoke to everybody, and everybody's the same. They're all like, of course, if it happened tomorrow, I'd be there. Do you know what I mean? It just seems that everybody involved in it would love it. So, you know,
actors said they'd love a job shocker. I would love for somebody to come on here and go, if you were asked to play it again tomorrow, would you go, no, I've moved on. Good for you. Good for you. I don't think, you know, it's maybe if you were asking James McAvoy, would he take up his part in Shameless again? He'd be like, no, I don't think so.
Do you think he wouldn't?
Of course he wouldn't. He's a fucking Hollywood superstar. You're joking.
Steve was a good character. I really liked Steve.
Stop it.
He was good.
Stop
I could convince him to do it again.
I never will.
I too you could. I look forward to your Shameless podcast series.
No, they don't quite meet the bar. There's a bar.
Really?
They didn't.
Well, season 1 to 3 absolutely meets the bar. Some of the best television ever done. The first few seasons are absolutely perfect. The first season's perfect. It's brilliant. Great bit of telly.
We've often heard the comparison between High Times and Shameless. It's been said that Shameless was almost, High Times was almost like Scotland's Shameless, to which I kind of disagreed. I get where they're coming from, but for Shameless, it was far too. What I liked about High Times is it's more insinuated. You don't necessarily see some like fat women with tits. Do you know what I mean? It was classly. It was done with class.
Well, look, there are totally two different styles. They are. Shameless is hyper realism. it's everything turned up to 11.
Oh, aye, yeah.
You know, and that's quite on purpose. That's you know, that's you know, I'm sure there is a pub like that, in a scheme like that. I'm sure there are families like that. But they're not all having laughs and jokes. I think more people probably die on a weekly basis in the real place than do in the sequel. So they take that hyper realism and they create comedy around that. High Times is just real, where you find the comedy and the reality of the situations and the characters. So they're very different, but these comparisons will always happen.
Yeah.
You know, after Trainspotting came out, I can't tell you the amount of things I was in, or I was going to be part of, or I was part of that was, this is the next Trainspotting. It's really boring. As soon as you hear that, your brain just goes, oh, here we go. You know, trying to, you know, link one thing to another thing. And, you know, but that's, when you're in a small country like Scotland, you'll always get that comparison.
Yeah.
Because we've really only had one Trainspotting. You know, we've really only had one Filth. But if you do anything about a bent copper again, people will be like, that's the next Filth.
Yeah.
You know, the comparisons will get made. But, you know, anybody with an ounce of sense will be able to look at those two shows and say they're nothing like
Oh, absolutely. I can kind of get where, I think what kind of links them is that for the characters, like you said, the characters are based on reality but turned up to 11. Whereas High Times didn't technically turn it up to 11. And I think that's where the only really comparison kind of comes from. You know what I mean? Somebody knows someone like that, except not turned up to 11.
Yeah, I think so. I think the characters in High Times are pretty believable. You know, and I don't know. I've never really lived in a scheme in Manchester, so Shameless might be spot on as well. So who knows? I don't live in that environment.
So you were saying,
but I have to say, Shameless was one of my favourite programmes when it was on the early seasons.
It
I
was.
absolutely loved it.
It did jump the shark, but hey, what doesn't it, right?
I love that phrase, jumping the shark. It's brilliant. I love it. When I found out where that phrase came from, I mean, I bored so many people stupid by telling them
The Fonz.
where jumping the shark comes from. The Fonz jumping the shark in Happy Days. That's when it got cancelled. They cancelled the show. As soon as he did that, they went, taking it too far. That's
There was a TV series I loved called 2 Pints of Lager and a Packet of Crisps, right? And Ralph Little played one of the main characters, Johnny Keogh. And when he decided that he was too big for that show, right, and left, they wrote him out because they never actually filmed him not coming back. He just didn't come back. But what they've done is they said that Johnny's character had won off a magazine the opportunity to go on a fucking, getting on the back of a boat with a, what's that called again? It's no skiing.
Paragliding.
Right.
Water skiing.
Water skiing. Right.
Water skiing.
Aye,
Jesus Christ.
So it's been a long day.
It's like they're on blood out of fucking prop cheese, isn't it?
But he gets an opportunity to go and do that, and he tried to jump a shark, and the shark ate him. And that's how they killed off his character, having him jump a shark, and the shark ate him.
That's clever.
Oh, cool story, bro.
If I'd only just wrote that down.
I mean, I'm so happy now to find out why Ralph Little wasn't in that show. I've never seen anymore.
Oh, have you never seen 2 Pints of Lager?
I saw it when it first started, a couple of episodes. It was not really my cup of tea. Not my cup of tea.
Fuck, I loved it. So you said that you don't technically see everybody from the show as much, but Stephanie says she still kind of keeps in contact.
Stephanie's one of my best friends. It's one of the people that I've kept in touch with. As I say, she was in an improv group that I kind of put together, and I suppose I ran it, but we all kind of did it together for years and years. I mean, a long, long time. And it started when we first started it. There was kind of loads of people, maybe 17, 18 people, and then they would whittle away because we were trying to teach ourselves to improvise, find comedy and the truth in comedy. We actually kind of started with a book called Truth in Comedy, which comes from the Canadian improv scene, and so we tried to kind of learn how to do it on the hoof. So you have to be prepared to look like an absolute tit for a lot of that time. It really is about walking a tightrope and with no net and not caring if you fall. So we did that, and then eventually it whittled over maybe a space of a year or two. It whittled down to 7 people, and those 7 people did it together for about 6-7 years, a long time. And so we became very, very close, a wee close-knit family. We would go and do live shows in different pubs and places in the town, and just the stuff we got up to was just crazy. And then guys started writing sketches and stuff. So I'm still very close with all of those guys, And Stephanie was an absolutely integral part to how that worked, She's got an infectious energy about her, and one of the smartest people I know. She should have her own sitcom. She should have her own sketch show. She was the person that I thought was most likely, after doing the improv stuff with her and all that, her imagination, how funny she was or is. I thought that was a given that somebody was going to come along and do something with that talent.
She did say on the previous episode that she'd love to get back into acting. It's just one of those things where she's at in her life right now, she knows that it would require a lot of time, and she couldn't just expect to walk back in like she'd been. Do you know what I mean? Of
course, I've never done anything else. To my detriment, a lot of the time, I've doggedly only ever done this, and I'm still scrabbling away, trying to make a living doing this. Stephanie has a job where she can make a living.
Aye.
Yeah. Whereas I think that there are ways and means that she could maybe write her own thing, produce, direct her own stuff. That's the way that I think that, somebody like Stephanie should do it, because there's no way you would give up a career that you've built to come back and do what I'm doing. Self-tapes in the Wayne's bedroom on a Sunday morning, panicking, worrying about whether you're getting an accent right or not. That's no way to live. Do you know what I mean? Not when you've got a real job and you're earning good money. I think that's. And she's like, no, carry on. Sorry.
No, so I was just like, you must really love the art to kind of pursue the life that you are then, just by, chasing that. Because if it's no shit, think about it, right? We go to our 9 to 5 jobs for the money. We don't go there because it's where we want to be. So for you to kind of do your acting, right, knowing that it can go either way, and you're taking a gamble on yourself every time and betting on yourself every time, you kind of do that without loving it. And I think that's maybe is that
I'm too useless to do anything else, and that sounds self-effacing. Oh, you're just being, I honestly couldn't do anything else. I once applied for a job in the post office, and I couldn't get a job delivering post. I have done literally nothing else since I was a teenager. I left school at 15, and everything I've done in my life was to be an actor, was to do this, and including the improv stuff, all that stuff where you don't get paid for it. It's just sheerly for the love of it, to become a better actor. And none of that will stand me in good stead doing anything else. It's like, the ship has sailed. I'd have to retrain. I'd have to go, no time for that. No energy for it. I love what I do.
Yeah.
It's worth it. All this is worth it, and it's, I wouldn't, I'm being flippant by saying I'm not qualified to do anything else. That's not the reason I'm not going to do anything else. I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
This is it. I never have to retire doing this. I could still be acting like old James in High Times, one of the best performers.
Yeah,
he was just amazing as the dad with dementia. Absolutely amazing. And you look at a guy like that and you're going, you get an epiphany moment where you go, I never have to retire. I can literally do this until I can't physically or mentally do it anymore. And that is one of the few jobs you never hear an actor going, I'll wait till I get to 65 and I'm retiring. You don't. You just keep doing it. It is literally a career for life. Now, whether you get the jobs or not, it's either a really disappointing and disheartening career for life, or you can be fairly successful and get enough work without ever being famous, without ever being like this big. It's not all about fame. It's not all about grabbing your name up in lights. It's a career. It's sticking with it, and you get to do something different every single time you do it.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's brilliant. No, Stephanie, quit your job. Get back into it. It's brilliant. I've just talked myself around the other way.
I said to her that she should. Who knows, if the stars align and High Times was to make its return, maybe that would kind of light a fire after setting foot back on her set.
Yeah, but as I say, Stephanie's so talented in so many different areas. I think she's a great director. She's great at producing stuff, and she's just super duper talented.
For sure.
Stephanie Robinson Appreciation Show.
Well, to be fair,
I like everybody else that was in the show as well.
Everybody else has give the Stephen McCole Appreciation on their episode. One of the last things we kind of want to touch upon is the scene, and we call it the scene because it was the standout scene for like the depth of the show, where you kind of see Rab in the most selfless moment talking to that child that you have never kept tabs on.
I know now.
That scene, whenever I talk to anybody about the High Times and even Rab's character, they do always talk about that scene as to where it was kind of, you've got Rab and then there's that scene kind of shows that other side to Rab. For yourself, like, was that, you saw that on the script and was like, right, here we go?
Oh yeah. Oh, meat. They're like, yes, meaty, a meaty scene. You know, I very much still learning, and am at the moment. But back then, very much still learning how to do certain things, how to act in certain scenes. You know, everything that comes up is different, and you're desperate to kind of do your absolute best that you can do. And I was listening to Jude's episode. It was absolutely fascinating. I forgot that I was listening to Lover You Should Have Come Over, Jeff Buckley, because it always made me tear up listening to that song.
Wow.
You know, and I was like, God, that was so amazing that after all these years, she remembered that. And me thinking that everybody I don't know if I was. It's so weird. I don't think I would have that kind of memory for that kind of moment. So it really brought something back. That you know, that whole day came back to me when I was listening to Jude's podcast. And you know, so me and Justin became really good mates doing those 3 episodes that he did. You know, he's still one of my best friends now. You know, we've done other stuff together. And you know, he just was up for giving you so much space to experiment, try, and you know, that scene and the sex scene. He really was like, well, how do you want to do this? How do you guys want to do this and feel comfortable? And I went, well, I just want to be left in the room for 5 minutes, because that's how long the song is. Wow. Just leave me in the room for 5 minutes, and I just sat in the room listening to that, got myself into a kind of head space, and it was beautiful. It was good. It was a really good thing to do. I don't think I would do it now. I think I've got to a point now where I could do it without the music. You know what I mean? I don't need the music anymore. But back then I needed something to kind of get me into that moment, and I really kind of had just, I had a kid by then. Aye. And my boy was about 1 or 2. And yeah, it was a very touching thing to do. And everybody was really super respectful of what it is I was trying to get. But it's for such a small thing, you know, but I was allowed a lot of leeway. You know, I was given a lot of rope, and I could very well have hung myself with it. You know, but Justin's a great director, and he got the best out of me that day. I think it's a lovely scene. You know, it's a lovely way to end the whole show. Yeah, you know,
it does kind of show you it's like, as an audience watching, we always kind of knew that Rab had that inside him, because you see it throughout the series with him helping Tracy by trying to get weed off the lassie's dad. You can always see different, like, even I pointed out as well, see the part where you go to Paul's character, Jimmy, comes to your door and asks for a radio so he can hear his song being played on the radio. Now, if Rab was a real dick, he'd have just been like, fuck off, I'm giving you my fucking radio, right? But instead he's like, hold on. Even though you don't Rab doesn't particularly like Jimmy, right? But he goes to at least see if he can find it. And then later on, he does go up to his door to give him it, because he does find it. So you always knew he wasn't a dick. Do you know what I mean?
He gives him it because he can smell that primo weed that he's brought back from Amsterdam. Let's remember that. There's an ulterior motive with everything with Rab Campbell. He knows he's got some primo stuff, and he can smell it, and that's the only reason he takes that radio down to him, because he can smell that he's got that primo weed. But I don't think that a character like Rab Campbell is nice to play, because there is no malice in him.
Aye.
There is simply no malice in Rab or Jake.
Aye.
You know, they are the epitome of harmless. You know, they are totally harmless. Yeah. You know, the tough guys on the estate know who they are. Nobody would bother with them, because they're totally harmless. They do anybody a turn. And look at the original short story, Blackout.
Yeah.
You know, opportunism in that is born out of people need something. You know, it's not let's go and rob a motor. It's not let's go and rob an old woman. They work for their money to get their bit of weed that they've lost. You know, they're willing to put the work in. Okay, they rob candles out of a church. So what?
Aye, that's
So what is charity, isn't it? The church is providing charity to those two young men in need.
they don't pay taxes anyway.
Exactly. But I love that in Blackout that they could have been rapscallions and robbed or did it in tandem motor. There's so many other easier ways of raising some money if you're desperate. But they choose to do a thing that people actually need. They're going to help the people during the blackout and earn some bucks at the same time.
Yeah.
For sure.
Kind of like Rab's kind of hard on the outside and soft on the inside, isn't he?
He's full of bluster.
Aye.
He's got a lot to say for himself. He thinks he's intelligent. He watches a lot of daytime television. I think that's where he get all his education from.
Aye.
You
I
know,
like
so
the self-help bit. See when you're reading the self-help book, and he's like, says, "Do you pay $17.99 for that?" He's like, "No, help myself yet."
exactly. And that would be chapter 1 in his own self-help book that makes him famous.
Yeah.
Where we meet him
There you go.
and he's loaded.
Aye. That's. I think we're unraveling something here.
Oh, for sure. I hope you're listening, John. It's all yours. Everything's copy. You can have it.
Oh, this will be getting sent to John, no doubt. So.
Did you get a chance to read the Amsterdam script? I can't remember if you actually have actually read that.
I've read it. I read it back then. We were desperate for that to be a Christmas special.
Man.
I think that was more disappointing than it not going to a third series. Was that dynamite script that we would have definitely got away with then? less likely now, but I think there's only one or two things in it you would go, change that. That's easy done. But putting those two characters in that situation in Amsterdam would have been brilliant, and the fans would absolutely have loved that as a Christmas special. But as Caroline said, they just didn't have the money, STV, to make anything more, and that's fine. I think it's been a bugbear for people. When somebody like Caroline lays it on the line like that, you're like, well, fair enough. They just didn't have the money. And here's the thing about High Times. First series, shit all money to make it. Second series, slightly less shit all money to make it, but still shit money. And for them to bring everybody back to their third series, I mean, that's when you're saying this is a hit. This is it. This is nailed. Everybody's going to want more money. Everybody's going to want, and a lot more money. If you're saying, it's BAFTA winning, not BAFTA winning for the second series, even though I think it was a better show. And the thing that won that year was a pilot for a show that never got made. It was a pilot for it was some kung fu thing with Jamie Winston in it. So it was, it wasn't. It was shot in Glasgow, but that was it. It literally had, I think the crew were fair, but the director was fair. London, had a Hong Kong cinema star in it, and Jamie Winston, and it was supposed to be this big thing. I think it was based on something written by the guy that did the Gorillas, the artist, the guy that drew them and did all the artwork and stuff. So it was based on something like that. It had a lot of promise, but it never even went to a series. And the pilot for that one, High Times was up for it, but the pilot for that one rather than High Times. And if you're going to be a conspiracy theorist, you would think that the people at STV were going, please don't let us win. Because if we win two, we have to do a third series. And we just don't have the money to do it.
Hey, well, GoFundMe didn't exist back then, right?
This is very true. And if anybody can, you guys can.
Hey, motherfucker. Hell yeah. I mean, what's the budget for a series 3?
£6 million.
Right. 5 million for you, $1 million to shoot it.
Exactly.
and some prop cheese.
Well, listen, that's how we're going to make all our money. Everybody that donates on GoFundMe gets a block of prop cheese sent through the door. It's a gold mine. Gold mine.
Stranger things have happened in life. I'm telling you. There's no try, only do. I think. I don't know. I'm still very optimistic and thinking that.
Well, that's fantastic. Make it happen. I am in if you do.
Absolutely.
Let's make it a film. You'd make a film just as easily as you'd make a series.
The coming together of
Let's make a movie. High Times the movie. Having to explain to everybody, actually, it was a series that was on 16 years ago.
Which was
never mind.
Which came from a short movie called Blackout.
Too complicated, isn't it? It's too complicated.
Not at all. Wait, if you were to give, if that was to have a fresh lick of paint, not a fresh lick of paint, but if it was to be something now, it would be that good that people would go back to find it anyway. Do you know what I mean? It'd be one of those things where people would be like, "What? Wait a minute, that was a thing." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's it's one of these shows you're like, God, I wish that Netflix would pick it up. Why would they though? Because you can already just go online and watch it on the STV thing. But
of course,
that's the kind of thing, if it was on one of the streaming sites and that huge worldwide audience got a chance to see it, that would be nice. Because who's tuning into the STV player that hasn't already seen it?
Aye, for sure.
They seem to have quite a tight grip on it. If they'd only kind of let it go, if they'd sell it to Netflix or something, you'd never know what could have happened.
But again, Netflix probably wouldn't want to buy it because it's been available for so long. It's not like an untapped gem that's been sitting on a shelf. It's there. It's always been there.
All it needs on Netflix is that, like, as soon as you click on comedy, whatever, all it needs is that first page. You know what I mean? And even if it's a regional thing, you know what I mean? It'll show up as the first thing in Scotland. And then if it does well, then we'll start kind of trying to...
We'll be speaking to people on Netflix at least when lockdown's over at some point. I'm telling you, that's a conversation that is definitely going to happen. What I would do...
He's a real go up and getters, kids.
Well, I mean, I said the conversation will happen. It depends on what they say. Like, I have a way of words sometimes. And I will...
No, the night.
Mate, I've been on a fucking roll. The other day I was working and I said to someone, I was like, thanks for that, sir. And it was like, it's Mrs. I was like, it's like, where do we go from here?
You don't. There's nowhere to go after that.
Sometimes you just got to bury your head. But I think once if a conversation like that can happen, for someone to at least check it out. In the meantime, folks should try and get it off of YouTube. You know what I mean? I say that,
get it
off, but get it off of YouTube so that it looks more.
To get the hits on YouTube, is that what is that? No, this is this social media.
To get it off, to
get it off, like to take it off,
or to take it off of YouTube.
Netflix will be like, why would we put something on Netflix that's free on YouTube right now? Do you know what I mean? But at least if it's not available there.
Listen, it's always been a bugbear to me that why I don't get money for all the times that people watch it. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, why am I not getting money for this?
Aye.
I don't believe I signed a contract that waved away my entire back catalogue of those episodes forever. I don't know how STV worked that one, but I don't think anybody's ever received any money.
Well,
showing it on the player or on YouTube or anything like that.
Well, for YouTube, people will always watch it on YouTube because it's easier to do than to go on the STV player.
Yeah, of course.
But with YouTube, it's not STV that uploaded it. It's somebody independently. It's just like someone like me has taken all the episodes and fired them up. So that person will be monetizing that themselves.
Yeah, but see, STV would have to hire somebody to track that down, and as we already discussed, STV don't have any fucking money, so I think you'll be waiting a long time for STV to do something.
I'll just send them a wee message, but it would be pretty cool. I'd love to see a new lease of life into High Times, and I've got my fingers crossed for it, and I know that any conversations I'll have with any people that may be able to make that happen, I'll definitely have that conversation because it's something I would love, and I think Scottish humour, like just. We need good shows like that, especially now more than ever. You know what I mean? We need to laugh, and it'd be nice to see just that kind of raw reality on TV.
Yeah, well, as I say, I'm the kind of person that always looks kind of forward, not back.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's another series of High Times in my future, I'm there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm there, but there's also, dishes to be done and. cabins to be built and stuff, so.
Exactly. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you about Rab Campbell, Stephen. I mean, I'm pretty sure you'll be back on the show plenty more times in the future.
Yeah,
upcoming stuff.
I enjoyed just coming on and shooting the shit about movies. I've been obsessed by television and film my whole life, so it's nice to sit and talk to people that are just as obsessed with it as me, you know, and I can tell you about movies you've never seen because I'm that much older than you. I can introduce you to stuff. It's great. It's been a lot of fun coming on the podcast and chatting away, and I really do appreciate you taking high times to your hearts and talking to everybody. It's been a lot of fun.
You've pretty much been the reason that this has happened for us, so we can only thank you for everything you've kind of thrown our way, the full cast of the show. You know what I mean?
Honestly, they were so happy to do it. I mean, you haven't even talked to half of them yet. I don't think there's so many people that would be up for talking to you. You know,
I think the only people we still have left now are Davey, Justin, and Tony, unless there's
Tony.
I think that's the three.
I'd love to hear Tony's. Tony's a funny guy, man.
Have you never heard this guy? He becomes Tony on the show. Did you hear him on the Stephanie's episode?
I did. It was very
What
good.
did you think? 8 out of 10?
I thought it was great.
Oh, well, there we go.
I thought it was great. I really did. I thought it was Tony himself.
Gears something, Jordan. Gears something.
Tracy, go and run downstairs and get me a bag of chips.
You can get him on the show and have a Frank off.
Frank off.
See who does the best Frank.
That just sounds like a fucking Russian villain.
It does. I thought you were going to say like a Russian roulette wanking game. Let's have a Frank off.
Frank off. A Frank off.
There's that as well. And on that note, thanks again, Stephen. It's been a blast, man.
It's my pleasure. Thanks very much for having me, boys.
Oh, if you're lucky, we'll have you back on again.
Oh, cheers. I'll wait with bated breath.
Gotta be careful when you come upon smiling faces. Gonna take you places you've never been before.